we are. Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really happy right now because joining us in the studio is Sean Swentek. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you got it.
And you're the executive director, let's be clear about that, of A Walk on Water.
Yes.
Let's start with, tell our viewers, what is A Walk on Water?
A walk on water, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's our way of describing surfing. And so what we offer is something that we've coined surf therapy. Mm-hmm. It's the idea of taking therapy for children with special needs and merging it with the ocean and the power of the ocean and the waves and creating a whole new experience that we think is really life-changing for the kids that we serve. So.
And how did this come to be? How did A Walk on Water come to be?
A Walk on Water was formed in the mind of a gentleman named Pat Notaro, who I met through my work with another organization called Surfers Healing, who have been around for many, many years. They're one of the original nonprofits providing surf therapy. And Pat had this vision of creating a foundation that served children with special needs, any and all special needs, but we certainly have a number of children with autism that we treat. And really creating an organization that doesn't just serve the athlete, but the entire family unit. We really have a focus on providing a service in a form of therapy that is therapeutic to the entire family, because Lord knows the parents and the siblings and everyone involved in a family of a child with special needs have a really tough time. So we want to create a day of respite at the beach for the entire family.
Okay, so everybody doesn't necessarily have to get on the board.
No, but I will tell you that we've taken parents out surfing. One of our focuses is actually taking the neurotypical sibling surfing alongside their sibling with special needs. We like to have them bond over something, a shared experience, a shared triumph. As you know, children with special needs and their siblings often have disparate lives, different programming, and so if we can bring them together over a shared experience, we think it's something pretty powerful.
And so how long have you guys been doing this?
The organization was founded in 2012, so here we are 7 years later, which is unbelievable. I've been in this space almost 20 years. I started with Surfers Healing back in 2001. It's incredible to see the growth and the development. There's surf therapy organizations popping up every day all around the world. There is an incredible amount of research and study going on right now into the efficacy and veracity of what we offer. And it's just a really exciting time to be in this space.
It is. And so tell us a couple of your success stories, because you've got some good success stories.
There are a lot, and I was thinking on the way up here, I want to make sure I preface this because I'm here at CARD and it's the Center for Autism-Related Disorders. I am not a physician, I'm not an occupational therapist, I'm not a doctor. I'm married to a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. And so everything I talk about here is anecdotal, although I will tell you that we just completed a research study with a master's student that's going to be published very soon. We're participating in additional research this year, and a number of other organizations that we work closely with are performing massive studies. There's just so much money getting poured into this right now to really try to understand why it's so beneficial. And when you hear these stories that I'll tell you, you'll understand, I think, why we think it's such a great thing. So the one I always like to start with is our athlete, Jacob. Jacob has been with us since the very beginning. He even surfed a couple times with Surfers Healing back in the day. So he was about 4 years old when he came to our first event. His parents, were very aware of surf therapy. They had some friends that had done it, so they had heard some success stories and really wanted Jacob to take part in it. He was very resistant. He's very severe autism. He's got a lot of sensory issues. Putting the wetsuit on him was very difficult. It's funny, a lot of these kids with autism, they really resist getting the wetsuit on, but as soon as it's on, it feels like this really nice hug, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them really like it, but Jacob, he didn't like any of that process. And I remember I was putting the wetsuit on and he was literally punching me in the face. I had a AWOW necklace on. He ripped that off. He was pulling at my hair. And I'm looking at the parents like, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to manhandle your child, but I can be strong enough to make this happen. They're like, yeah, we want to see him surf. So we just kept at it. Eventually, we got the wetsuit on. We paired him up with our best surf instructor, Steven. And it was a battle getting him, into the water, onto the board. I kind of had to just bear hug him and get him on the board. And Steven kind of laid on top of his legs and paddled him out. And that whole process is almost an hour in itself. I watched Steven paddle him out. I'm like, okay, he's good. I go back to running the operations on the beach. I see Steven out there kind of playing with him. He kind of went around the waves in the outside and just kind of sat there and splashed water with him, got him to calm down. Right. So I said, all right, he's good. About 30, 45 minutes later, I see them coming in. I see Jacob's parents running down. So I walk down to the shoreline and you can see Steven's exhausted. He's like, that was physically and emotionally a battle. You know, he was really resistant, but it was amazing to see him open up once he felt the water and was playing with it and enjoying his time in the ocean. He's like, once I got him to settle down, I went ahead and caught a few waves, and we stood up both. So the surfer and the child are on the same board together. It's a big custom stand-up paddleboard. And he's like, we caught a few waves, and it was amazing. He's like, I felt his whole body relax.
Yeah.
And you know how that is with a child with autism, when they're
Yes.
having their tics and their aggressiveness and their tightness. It's an amazing feeling when they find something that allows them to just fully relax. So the parents were ecstatic. And Stephen goes, yeah, the most amazing thing is, you know, he really started opening up to me after a few waves. And after the second or third wave, he looked back at me. He's like, you know, kind of talking to me, saying ocean and water and, you know, using these words to describe the experience. And the parents looked at him like, what are you talking about? Our son doesn't speak. Our son's 4 years old. He's nonverbal. He's never spoken in his life. Everyone's kind of like, Stephen's like, I can just tell you what happened. You know, we were talking in the ocean. So everyone kind of broke down and cried like I'm doing right now, like I always do.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
Jacob has continued to surf with us for the last 7 years. His parents, Samuel volunteers with us because he's just so passionate about it. They come to almost every event. If you saw Jacob on the beach today, he's about an 11-year-old young man. He'll walk right up to you, say hello, shake your hand. He'll have a conversation with you. He's very well adjusted, incredible young man who speaks more than probably I do. And it's really amazing. So those kind of things are the reason we do what we do and why we're so passionate about it. And then, you know, it's easy to just share the testimonials that we get after events. Parents write in saying, it's safe for me to say that was the greatest day my child's ever had in their life. I've never seen them embrace something so scary to me and them, and then come out feeling so successful, like they conquered a fear. Parents always relate that their child performs better in school afterwards. They have better behavior in the home, less breakdowns. They interact with their peers better. A big part of what we do at Walk on Water, our events, is encourage interaction, not just among the athletes with special needs, but with the siblings. And also we have what we call a GROM squad. A GROM in surf terms is a young child that surfs. And we have these young children volunteers who play with these kids as well. And there's no labels out there. At the end of the day, we give every kid that participates a trophy, and it just says athlete, because that's all they are out there. All of them are athletes. Nobody else needs any kind of label. Every kid just wants to have fun. They want to play, they want to enjoy sport, and they want to surf. And so we really have a focus on normalizing the idea that play is a natural thing for children of all types and ages. So that's something that we really focus on, and I think these kids really respond well to.
It's an amazing thing, and you know, the story that you say about this young man speaking, it's by no means the only one of that kind, right? I know for my son, we did the surfer's healing once. He was 5, he was newly 5, and I kind of, you know, I can swim enough to save myself as long as I'm not in moving water, right? That's so. I call
that's
myself,
a necessary skill.
I call myself an advanced rock, right? That's the, you know how they have like, you know, are you a tadpole or I'm an advanced rock? So I'm a little bit afraid of the water. My son loves the water, has always run to the water, thinks the water is just like a lot of kids on the autism spectrum.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I, you know, sent him to some swimming classes because I knew about the statistics about kids running to water. I wanted him to be able to know how to roll over on his back and float in case of an emergency. But we were at that point where he could roll over and float when we did Surfers Healing. And I'm an ex-school teacher. I took him out of school to go. And so that's how big of a deal. I was like, nope, we're leaving school that day.
Wow.
We're going. And they got him into the wetsuit while I was, hyperventilating. And then 2 very large surfers walked away with my child.
Yeah.
And I don't let anyone walk
Probably
away with
bearded,
my child.
tattooed guys as well, right?
I don't know. I was too busy having a nervous breakdown. But they walked him into the ocean. I didn't get their names or their driver's licenses, and they just walked into the ocean. And I thought we were going to have a discussion beforehand, but they walked into the ocean, and my husband and I separated on the beach. We both had video cameras, and we still have the video camera that I couldn't see where he was, and he was out there for probably 40 minutes, and I let the camera run, and you get to hear my mouth run. And I was like, what did I just do? I just let my child walk away with 2 strangers into the, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
Why am I, like, if he ever comes back, we're never doing anything like this again. But he came back in, and keep in mind that my child had been verbal, lost all communication, and then was speaking again, but we hadn't gotten to the, like, you could prompt him through a sentence about something if you had things there to prompt him through, right? But so the first time that he said a sentence that is true, like the ABA people talk about interverbals, where he used things that he wasn't being shown or anything. They came in, and I was there when he came in, and he was so excited. You could see that his body was vibrating. 5 years old, and he looked up at me and said, "Mommy, I not get eaten by the shark." Right? And I did not know that that's where his fear was, but he had a really good time. And it brought that full sentence out of him. So I'm a believer. I have not been able to get him back to surfing since. But I really feel that we must, because he's 15 now, and I think he would really get a big kick out of it now.
We would love to take him out.
Now he would, like, have a different take on it and be thrilled about it. But I think for parents that are reticent, I've seen a lot of parents go through a lot of anxiety about this, and come out the other side. Even the anxiety that I went through was worth it for that sentence, and for him to get a bigger picture of the world.
Yeah.
I think it changed everything that came after that, because he had a sense that there was more than just this.
Well, and you bring up a really great point. The nice thing that you did is you said you're not super comfortable in the ocean, but you didn't translate that fear onto him before. So what we've experienced in the
fluke. I'm just going to be honest.
We've experienced in the past, and it's very common in all societies, that parents tend to pass on to their children not just their fears, but everything, but their fears and the things that scare them. So if a parent is scared of going in the ocean, is scared of sharks, even if they don't verbally say that feeling of fear can get passed on to the child, and then you have two people who are reticent, and especially the child who needs to go in is going to have a real tough time. So we always encourage parents ahead of it to really reinforce the idea that, yeah, it is a whole new thing, it's a new world, but it's something really exciting, it's something to be excited about, and we see that those kids that have that entry point do a lot better. But you know what, we can't change what's already been said or done, and so we do have a lot of kids who come out who are really scared.
Yeah.
And what we do is we work. It worried me a little when you said I didn't even know who these people were. We have at least at a Walk on Water, we really focus on creating a relationship, not just with the athlete, but with the family before they even go out and surf. So we spend time with you as we're getting on the wetsuit, getting to know the child, getting to know you, letting you know our names.
Yes,
we're not going to hand you our driver's license, but if you wanted it, we'd certainly have it on file. And we go through certain, background checks and safety checks, and all our volunteers are specially trained and go through special training courses that we've devised, and also like American Red Cross CPR. We go through special courses on how to do water rescues if something were to happen, which, God forbid that ever would. But we put all these safeguards in place so that we can make sure that everything that we control as far as alleviating fear, we attend to. And then it's up to the parent and the child to trust us. And like I said, most of us are tattooed, bearded, scary-looking dudes, but all of us have hearts of gold. And we do this, and we have done this for a long time, and we know what we're doing, and we're highly trained and highly sophisticated, even though we are a bunch of surfer dudes, right? And so I would just tell any parent that's maybe scared, just come down to the beach, even if you don't participate that day. Just come look and come see what happens, because watching our videos, which I think you guys might show some today, and looking at the pictures is one thing, but getting down there and feeling the energy and the vibe and the family type atmosphere that we create is really important. We all break bread together. We provide breakfast and lunch and snacks and drinks, healthy stuff throughout the day. And the volunteers and the families sit together and get to know each other. There's so many of our families and volunteers who engage each other outside of the events. They call each other on Christmas. They all get together for events. We call it, so the acronym for Walk on Water is AWOW, A-W-O-W. We call it the AWOW family, because that's really what it is. We want to create this environment where everyone feels supported. Everyone feels like they're heard. If they have a fear, they feel like they can tell us, and we'll talk to them about it and work through it. So I don't want anyone to ever say, I don't go in the ocean, there's no way my kid's going to. Give them a chance. Your kid will amaze you at the things they can do, right?
Isn't it amazing? Trayvon, do we have video? I'm waiting to hear. Let me know if we can play the video, but I also want to... Okay. I do want to say though that Nava Paskowitz has written in and said Sean is the man. Now,
I love Nava. So Nava's brother Izzy is the one who founded
Yes.
Surfers Healing. The Paskowitz family are incredible people.
they're surfing royalty.
They are.
They're also autism royalty too.
Yes.
So those two things together, which is an amazing thing.
I love Nava.
So Traven, I think let's go ahead. If you're ready, can we show the video, or do you need some time before we can show the video? I'm okaying it.
By the way, that picture right there, that's the #1 surfer in the world, Felipe Toledo, in the middle there with that young man whose name is Jeremy, who has the biggest stoke on his face that you've ever seen. That's a drilling rig, unfortunately, in the background, which tells you it's Huntington Beach. But yeah, Felipe Toledo came out and took kids surfing, which some of these kids are like, this is unbelievable. They're like, this guy who's the top surfer in the world, and he was so amazing with the kids. It was incredible. The WSL, the World Surf League, contacted us and said, we have the #1 surfer in the world. He wants to participate with you guys through our partnership with Jeep. And so they came out and did this, and it was so cool for these kids to get to have that experience.
I guess, unfortunately, we aren't able to show the video through a technical difficulty. But
no worries.
You've talked a lot about the research and how there's a lot of money being spent right now to show the things that you've seen for your own eyes. What's the expectation about when we're going to be able to see this, and what's the path to legitimizing this for the public?
We're closer than you realize. Surf therapy is already covered by insurance and government supported in many nations around the world, including the UK and Australia. I'm not going to make any comments about the US being behind the 8 ball there, but I've heard in the US of people being able to get this covered if they don't call it surf therapy, if it's some form of physical therapy at the beach, your insurance can cover it. There are ways to get it. I mean, keep in mind, a walk on water has always been and will always be 100% free to attend for the families. We have incredible sponsors. John Paul Mitchell Systems, the hair care company, is our title partner for the last 4 years. They make this possible with many others so that these families never pay for anything. And we treat it, like I said, it's a whole day, 8 to 4 at the beach, breakfast, lunch. We have a masseuse for the parents.
Well, where do we sign up for this? Enough, I want to come.
awalkonwater.org.
Okay, awalkonwater.
If that's too long to type in, awow.org will get you to the same place.
Okay, and then do you do it all year long, or are there only certain weekends that you can
We
do
try to keep it to the warmer months, so it's about March through November.
Okay.
Although we're working on some tropical locales that we might eventually make it to, where we could have a December, January type event and be year-round. But we do 10 to 13 single-day or sometimes 2-day large-scale events. We're taking up to 100 kids surfing each day. Wow. Even with that, we have so many volunteers and so many instructors that each child gets at least an hour of surf time, maybe 2, as much as they want, really. We don't want these kids to say, oh, you get 20 minutes in the water and you're done. We want them to really feel like they can get the maximum experience that they're looking for.
And then you do it at different locations, so you pick one that's close to you on a date that you can go and sign up for it.
We go as far north as Santa Cruz, as far south as San Diego, and then 4 years ago we started an East Coast chapter as well. So we have events in New York out on Long Island, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Virginia Beach, those kind of places. So.
Okay, so you got to get yourself to a coast.
Yeah, well, and that's sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but you just brought up such an important point. From the day we started this, we said it's really, I don't want to say unfair, but it bothers us that people who are landlocked, who might be in Colorado or Nebraska or whatever, they don't have access to this. You have to live by a coast, like you said, or get yourself to the coast, which is why it was really exciting last year. We went to a wave park in Texas and did one of our events and took a bunch of kids from the local area there, and it was, you should have seen the amount of tears flowing, because these parents in Texas were like, I never had any dream in my life that my kid would surf. We live in the middle of Texas.
Right.
So we're really active in trying to discover opportunities to bring surf therapy to people who are landlocked, whether it's through these wave pools or creating some kind of program where we can fly families from those landlocked states out to the coast for an event. It's cost prohibitive right now, but we're on the search for sponsors like an airline or a hotel sponsor to offset that, to make that possible, so that any family that wants to try this therapy has the opportunity to.
Super cool. We have some people at CARD who surf pretty much on a daily basis, and that's sort of how I got to meet you.
Sarah being one of them.
Yes, Sarah Cho, who every morning takes herself.
I heard at like 4:30 in the morning.
Well, she's a mom.
She's a trooper.
Right, so she goes and surfs before she comes home to have breakfast with her kids before her kids wake up. It's a level of craziness that I can't subscribe to. But I know a lot of moms and dads that surf for health, both physical and mental. That they say it is their time in the day, it's their mindfulness ritual. that it helps them, and if they cannot do it, like I'm thinking about Nava, Nava will say, I got to get to Hawaii, I have to get to the beach, I have to be in the water, how important it is. And we see in our kids that they are drawn to the water, and giving them more and more skills in the water, there's no way that could be bad. There's just there's no element of it that could be bad.
Outside of just surf therapy, there's a ton of research. In the last 10 years, there's been a huge driver in this sort of blue mind space, as we call it, of being in and around bodies of water. And this guy, Wallace J. Nichols, who's become a friend of mine, is this amazing guy who's shown that being in or around bodies of water changes your mental state, your physical state, your entire body chemistry. And there's a lot of research going into that as well, because it's just really interesting. I mean, you get in the shower, you feel better, right?
Yeah.
So you get in a lake or a river or the ocean, and this powerful natural body of water, it's amazing how it changes how you feel.
Yeah, I've got theories on that, but they're out there.
Yeah, listen, I want to hear them.
All right, well, we're gonna because we have to get to our next guest, but I just want to thank you.
Yeah.
And to tell everybody, so visit awalkonwater.com
or .org. Yeah, either one will get you there.
Or go to awow.org and just open your mind. Today's topic is being willing, right? So be willing to look and see, is there a time and a place that you could go?
Yep.
And then be willing to go to the beach. That doesn't mean you have to get into the water. Be willing to do that. So I'm saying I'm going to be willing to do that and get my son to be willing, because I need for him to try it again. He thoroughly enjoyed it, but I think I did put my fear of shark on him, because otherwise, where would he have gotten that from?
Well, he obviously had a great time, so you didn't screw him up.
He did. No.
The last thing I'll say is that we're going to be opening up signups for our April event, which just happens to be here in LA, at world famous Surfrider Beach in Malibu. So keep an eye next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. The signups will open. We'll announce on our social media, so follow our Instagram and things like that. Get on there, sign up your kid if you haven't done it. I can't wait to have you come out and experience it. It's life-changing. It really is.
We all have to do this. I knew to sign up for Surfers Healing because a dear friend of mine who's also been on the show, Glenn Cassell, who's a Broadway director, he saw a piece on the news right after my son had been diagnosed and said, Shannon, do you know about this? This looks amazing to me. There's something about this that makes sense to me. And when Glenn sends me something, I'm like, I better pay attention to that. And I went, okay, surfing? Okay, why not?
Well,
and it is amazing.
Thank you, Glenn. And what's your son's name?
Jem.
Now we need to get Jem out to the Walk on Water event. So I better see you out there on the beach this year.
No, you will. I'm telling you, before the year is over, we're coming back out.
Maybe we'll paddle you out and you guys can surf next to each
other.
other.
Yeah, that's a thing that I don't know if we can get to the wilderness. Remember the advanced rock part?
Hey, you don't even need to know how to swim. We'll do all the work for you.
Oh, I don't. See, my fear of everything else is just, if you put me and laid me on my stomach on the floor, it would take me a week to get up. And I would need a crane and someone to hold on to, and I would be dizzy and not be able to stand. So you're talking about having me out in water on a thing that's slippery. I think I'm going to do a lot of swimming with the fishes. We'll see. But Nava has said it. Nava has said that she's going to get me on a surfboard, and I'm like, Nava, if you can. And Sarah has said it, and now we have another doctor who visits here who surfs with Sarah. They've all said it, and I've said, God bless you all. I wish you the best with that. I can't see that, but today's topic is being willing. So there we have it.
I like it.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Sharon,
and for
thank
all
you
the
so
work
much
that
for
you
having
do.
me.
We love what you do. We're going to take a brief break. That's what I want to say. And then we're going to be back with Christian Shaw from Kamloops I can't talk anymore.
It's okay.
See what you've done?
You're thinking about the water.
Self-advocate newsletter. So stick with us. Don't go away.